The Middle East is on fire. A new wave of war is sweeping across the region, and the world is holding its breath. Israel is attacking Gaza and Syria. Syria is retaliating against Hezbollah in Lebanon. Iran is issuing threats to both Israel and the United States. And the most shocking event, Houthis have officially declared war on America. But this isn't just a series of isolated battles. It's a domino effect, and every move is being watched closely. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda. They are all observing, waiting, planning. The stakes have never been higher. And in the middle of it all, one thing is certain: the United States will not back down. When America is challenged, history proves it strikes back with force. So how did we reach this boiling point? And what happens next? Let's break it down, one war at a time. For a brief moment, there was hope. The airstrikes had stopped, and a ceasefire agreement was in place, aiming to bring a lasting peace. This ceasefire was structured as a four-step peace process, designed to gradually ease tensions and bring both sides to an agreement. In Phase 1, there was an exchange of hostages and Palestinian prisoners. The fighting stopped for 2 months, creating a window for negotiations. However, as the world watched and hoped for further progress, things began to unravel. When it was time for Phase 2, where both sides were supposed to negotiate the next steps toward a more permanent peace, discussions fell apart. No new agreements were signed. Tensions rose once again, and before long, the war was back in full force. As the ceasefire collapsed, Special Envoy Steve Witko revealed a key detail. Hamas had been given a bridge proposal that could have led to a solution. This proposal included the release of more hostages, including key figures. However, Hamas rejected the deal, making further negotiations impossible. Witko described Hamas's response as completely unacceptable, signaling that diplomatic efforts had reached a dead end. Without a path forward, Israel saw no other option but to resume its military operations. At the time of the renewed fighting, 59 hostages remained in Hamas captivity, with 24 believed to be alive. For Israel, bringing them home became a top priority. With negotiations failing, Israel launched a new wave of airstrikes targeting Hamas bases, leaders, and military infrastructure inside Gaza. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear. This war was restarted because Hamas refused peace efforts. In his official statement, Netanyahu blames Hamas entirely, saying, "Israel did not initiate military action during the ceasefire, hoping for a deal." Hamas ignored multiple offers for hostage releases. The renewed war was Hamas's fault, and Israel was targeting Hamas militants, not civilians. As Israeli fighter jets roared over Gaza, the effects of the airstrikes were immediately visible. Buildings collapsed, black smoke covered the skyline, and residents rushed for shelter. Reports from Gaza indicated that key Hamas strongholds were targeted, but civilian areas also suffered damage. Hospitals started filling up as casualties mounted. The humanitarian situation worsened. The United Nations warned of a deepening crisis, urging both sides to return to negotiations. But on the ground, there was no sign of stopping. For years, the Houthis, a rebel group based in Yemen, have been a growing threat in the Middle East. But in October 2023, they took their aggression to a whole new level by attacking commercial ships linked to the United States in the Red Sea. What started as isolated strikes soon became a full-blown maritime war. By early 2024, the attacks had caused devastating economic consequences. Over $200 billion in global losses in just 1 year. Shipping costs skyrocketed by 5 times as vessels were forced to take longer, costlier routes around Africa to avoid the Red Sea. Insurance rates for the Suez Canal increased 20 times as companies feared further attacks. These disruptions crippled international trade, affecting everything from oil shipments to consumer goods. Businesses worldwide were impacted, and many called for immediate military action against the Houthis. Then, in a move that shocked the world, the Houthis officially declared war on the United States. Their leaders vowed to continue striking American-linked targets until the U.S. stopped supporting Israel in the Gaza war. The world waited for America's response. It didn't take long. President Trump made it clear. This was unacceptable. The U.S. would not tolerate attacks on its assets, and the Houthis had crossed a line they would regret. With tensions at a boiling point, Trump ordered the U.S. Navy to eliminate the Houthi threat once and for all. Within hours, warships and fighter jets were in action, launching precision airstrikes against Houthi strongholds. The targets were carefully chosen, hitting Houthi training sites where new fighters were being prepared for attacks, weapons storage facilities, destroying stockpiles of Iranian-supplied missiles and drones, command and control centers, crippling the Houthis' ability to coordinate further strikes. The Pentagon later confirmed that these strikes were highly effective, degrading Houthi capabilities. No civilian casualties were reported, ensuring the operation remained focused solely on military targets. But the Houthis weren't going down without a fight. In response, the Houthis claimed they had launched an attack on the USS Harry S. Truman, a massive U.S. aircraft carrier stationed in the Red Sea. The news spread quickly, with some fearing a direct hit on one of America's most powerful warships. But the U.S. Defense Department immediately dismissed the claim. According to U.S. military officials, the Houthis' attack missed by more than 100 miles, a clear sign that their military capabilities were not as advanced as they claimed. Despite their failure, the attack revealed a bigger problem: Iran's growing role in the conflict. For years, Iran has been funding, training, and supplying weapons to the Houthis, providing them with intelligence and military strategies, using them as a tool to attack U.S. interests indirectly while maintaining plausible deniability. But Trump wasn't buying it. He made it clear that the Houthis weren't acting alone. They were operating under Iran's guidance. So he issued a new policy. From now on, any attack by the Houthis will be treated as a direct attack from Iran. If the Houthis continue their aggression, the U.S. will hold Iran responsible and respond accordingly. With these words, the conflict took a dangerous turn. If Iran escalated further, the risk of a wider regional war was real. The world was now watching not just the Houthis, but Iran's next move. Iran has been playing a dangerous game in the Middle East for years, not by sending its own soldiers into battle, but by arming and funding powerful militant groups to fight on its behalf. This strategy, known as the Axis of Resistance, allows Iran to attack its enemies while avoiding direct confrontation. Through this network, Iran has been supplying weapons, intelligence, and billions of dollars in funding to groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, and the Houthis in Yemen. Each of these groups serves a different purpose, but their goal remains the same: to weaken the influence of the United States and Israel in the region. Hezbollah, one of Iran's strongest allies, has been involved in multiple wars with Israel and continues to stockpile advanced weaponry with Iran's help. Hamas, the ruling power in Gaza, has relied heavily on Iran's financial and military support, using it to launch rockets and carry out attacks against Israel. Meanwhile, the Houthis have been disrupting global trade by attacking shipping vessels in the Red Sea, leading to direct military action from the United States. Iran denies having full control over these groups, but the evidence tells a different story. Weapons seized from Hamas and the Houthis have been traced back to Iran, and intercepted communications reveal that Iran is actively giving orders. This isn't just indirect support, it's state-sponsored warfare from the shadows. To counter Iran's growing influence, President Trump reinstated the Maximum Pressure Campaign, a series of severe economic sanctions designed to crush Iran's ability to fund its proxy wars. The results were devastating. Inflation in Iran skyrocketed, making basic necessities unaffordable for millions. The country's GDP collapsed, leading to a deep recession. Iran's foreign currency reserves, once at $150 billion, dwindled to just $4 billion, leaving the regime scrambling to keep its economy afloat. Yet, Despite the economic turmoil, Iran refused to change course, doubling down on its military support for Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. As tensions escalated, U.S. intelligence uncovered a chilling plot. Iran was allegedly planning assassinations of top American officials, including Trump himself. This revelation triggered an immediate response. Trump issued a direct warning, making it clear that any attack on a U.S. official would result in Iran being completely obliterated. This was not just a diplomatic threat, it was a final ultimatum. If Iran made a move, the consequences would be catastrophic. The stakes had never been higher, and the world braced for what could come next. While the world's attention has been on Iran's role in fueling Middle Eastern conflicts, another powerful player has been working behind the scenes: Russia. Unlike Iran, which openly supports groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, Russia's involvement has been more calculated, but just as dangerous. Recent intelligence has revealed that Russia has been supplying weapons to the Houthis, further escalating the conflict in Yemen and the Red Sea. One of the key figures in this operation is Viktor Bout, a notorious Russian arms dealer who was once one of the most wanted men in the world. Known as the Merchant of Death, Bout had spent years smuggling illegal weapons across the globe before being captured and sentenced in the United States. However, in 2022, he was traded in a controversial prisoner swap for American basketball player Brittany Griner. Now, he's back in business, and reports indicate that he has been helping the Houthis acquire Russian-made weapons, making their attacks on U.S. and Western-linked ships even deadlier. As the United States intensified its airstrikes against Houthi targets, Russia suddenly stepped in, demanding that the U.S. stop its military operations. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov personally reached out to U.S. officials, warning against continued strikes in Yemen. This raised a critical question: why is Russia so invested in protecting the Houthis? The answer is clear. By keeping the conflict alive, Russia is not only distracting the United States from its support for Ukraine, but also ensuring that Western economies suffer from the rising costs of global trade disruptions. This is not just about Yemen, it's a larger geopolitical strategy to weaken America's position on the world stage. With Russia now openly aligning itself with Iran and the Houthis, the conflict has taken a new, more dangerous turn. The battlefield is no longer just in the Middle East. It's a global chess game where every move is calculated and every action has consequences. As the war in Gaza intensified, President Trump put forward a controversial plan: a complete relocation of the Palestinian population from Gaza to other countries. According to him, Gaza had become nothing more than a demolition site, an unlivable wasteland that could no longer sustain its people. He proposed that nations like Jordan and Egypt take in the displaced population, offering them new homes and a fresh start away from the constant cycle of destruction and war. Trump insisted that this was not just a military strategy, but a humanitarian solution to a decades-long conflict. The Middle East stands at a turning point. From the Israel-Hamas war to the Houthi attacks, from Iran's shadow influence to Russia's hidden involvement, every event is shaping the future of global politics. Trump's radical proposals have sparked intense debate, challenging traditional approaches to resolving the conflict. The question remains: will these wars lead to lasting peace or further chaos? Will the world find a diplomatic solution? Or are we witnessing the early stages of an even bigger crisis? One thing is certain: the situation is far from over. As tensions rise and alliances shift, the world watches closely. What happens next will not only shape the Middle East, but also define international relations for years to come. Staying informed about the Middle East conflict is more important than ever. With new developments happening every day, it's crucial to keep up with the latest updates and analysis. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to subscribe to the channel for regular updates on the ongoing situation. Your support helps bring accurate and detailed insights into these complex issues. Also, let's keep the conversation going. Like, comment, and share your thoughts below. What do you think about the current situation? Do you believe a long-term solution is possible? Your engagement helps spread awareness and keeps important discussions alive. This is just the beginning. Stay tuned for more updates, and let's continue exploring the reality behind the headlines together.